we've talked before about like what makes a good sales presentation in home and kind of contemplating all the things that you should bring as a sales rep to that experience in order to, stand out, build trust, build confidence with the customer that you're the one for the job.
Yeah, I think the number one most important tool is PaintScout software.
Of 100%.
You're welcome. I just have to feed your ego.
I've seen this question asked numerous times, like which laser measure should I buy? I will say the thing that has made a difference to me is buy the smallest one you can with the furthest distance, and one that has like a wrist rope, like a thing you can put around your wrist that dangles down, like a little lanyard. And then you can actually type and then grab it again. It's so efficient. Prove me wrong. Like in the comments, prove me wrong that that's not the most simple way is with a laser measure.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Price, Sell, Paint podcast. We're really excited to talk about what you need to bring with you when you go on site to do an estimate to maximize your potential sales. John, how are you today?
Doing fantastic, Michael. How about yourself?
Doing well. It is cold in Cleveland, Ohio. I imagine it is the same where you're at.
Yeah, it's pretty chilly. I got a chance to go to an outdoor spa this week, and I just remind myself how nice it is to be in warm places when it is cold. So pretty good. Yeah, so pretty good week for me.
We invested in a sauna. I have friends who own a really nice sauna company. So we invested in one a year ago, and I will say it is a really nice thing this time of year.
How often are you going in that thing? Are you a daily guy?
3 times a week. Not daily, but like I would say 3 times a week.
You got one of those little sauna hats, Michael? Is that what you wear?
I absolutely have a sauna hat.
You got to protect that big brain of yours.
That's right.
From the heat.
Something like that.
Something like that.
I think it's just to look extra cool.
Yeah, like you've got a tea kettle on your head. That's right. I learned about the sauna hat from Dave Scaturo at Alpine Painting when I was with him and his brother.
Shout out, Dave.
Doing their daily activity, which is to go do a 30-minute CrossFit workout and then go in the sauna, which is like an absurd temperature. I don't know if it was like, I don't deal in freedom units like you guys do. I deal in Celsius, but it was a lot of freedom units. I tell you, I feel like my brain wanted to be free from my body. So from many freedom units.
Did you have a hat on to keep your brain in, or no?
I did. Without the hat, though, I would have been in there for 2 minutes. I think they were trying to stay in for hours. But I at about the 7-minute mark, I'm like, I got to leave, guys. This is too much for my body. But anyways, let's get back to the topic at hand, which is
there we go.
Which is that we've talked before about like what makes a good sales presentation, I think, in home, and kind of contemplating all the things that you should bring as a sales rep to that experience in order to stand out, build trust, build confidence with the customer that you're the one for the job. And some of that comes with the equipment we bring. Some of it comes with what we wear, how we show up. But some of it also is happening on site, and we need to have the right tools. So that kind of, I know this was your something on your mind, so I wanted to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we're actually revamping our sales system here at Textbook. We've got some hiring goals going on next year in terms of new sales reps, and looking to expand the team and just kind of evaluating. It's kind of good time maybe before we bring in new people and train them. Evaluating, hey, is the sales system as dialed in as it could be? And decided a couple months ago that it wasn't, and we wanted to just kind of fine tune it and better. Again, I don't know, dial in is the right word, but it's just like document it and leave less up to chance. And so one of the things that we've been talking a lot about is like, what are the things to bring? I think you can definitely not bring enough. I think you can definitely bring way too much. And so I just thought, this is something I don't think we've ever talked about. Might be kind of helpful for others, and helpful for me as we're working through ours. I wanted to hear your thoughts on this topic, and so selfishly, I'm excited to chat about it today.
Awesome. Well, let's go to the very start then. I mean, you've got some of this documented, I'm sure, and I think for today it's kind of let's maybe go through a checklist of stuff start off, what's important when you show up, like in your mind for the textbook team. Obviously, you
I
guys
think
have
the
branded vehicles, so you're showing up in a
yep,
branded vehicle. You
yeah, I
are
think
showing up in a uniform. Walk me through
yep,
all that stuff.
yeah, I think the number one most important tool is PaintScout software.
I've cut 100%.
You're welcome.
Swish.
Uh, I just have to feed your ego.
Thanks.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're doing, I think it's with that. So we're doing the quote on an iPad.
Mhm.
That is a big differentiator still,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. We've been doing quotes on iPads for, a long time, a decade or something. And it's like, still how often we hear from people that they feel more comfortable seeing us like what looks like actually doing some work, which it is, right? We're putting stuff into a software, but they can't tell exactly what we're doing on the iPad. But man, does it look a lot different than the person who just kind of walks around and then sits down and gets out a piece of paper and writes a price on it. So yeah, I think part of what we do, a lot of what we do, I guess, is like almost like putting on a little presentation or a little performance, maybe is the right word, for the prospective client, the homeowner, the commercial property owner, whatever that might be.
So, okay, so iPad, I love that. Love PaintScout. Super,
Big
super
fan.
smart, very, very intelligent. So, when we've thought about this whole thing, like this is I mean, even the sales part of it is a bit of a role playing type thing.
Yeah,
I'm the salesperson, you're the customer. Let's figure out how this works. And
let's
and it's like,
dance.
let's dance. Exactly. It's the identity role. Like, this is the role that I play. It's not who I am, but I'm gonna do the best I can at that. But there's a bunch of props, let's call them, or like things that can help or things we want to do. So again, going back to the start, I mean, company vehicles, you guys have that.
Okay.
You've got, I imagine, like a
So
branded
yep.
jacket, something.
Yeah.
Have
Yeah.
you put lots of thought into that? Like what should be, like what is the tone you're trying to set right off the bat?
Yeah. I think the tone we're trying to set, and I think this is going to be a little bit company specific, but we are trying to set the balance of like professional but not overly formal. I think what in our industry, it's not. We don't want to come across as like overly formal. I think if we're to use an extreme, it's like I'm not showing up in a suit and tie,
Hmm.
and I don't think most people would. But I also don't want to show up maybe in, I don't know, like a ripped pair of jeans and a hooded sweatshirt or something like that. It's little different for like our painting crew, right? They probably can go to a job site in a hooded sweatshirt, but for our sales experience, that first impression that we're trying to make with a homeowner, that's not going to be what we're looking for. It's going to be a little bit more polo shirts in the summertime, some kind of like maybe branded sweater or like button down, or like you mentioned, jackets, because a lot of time when you're going on these estimates, even though you go inside the house, like you don't even take your coat off because you're freezing this time of year. And so just having like some sort of, just like a nice coat with a logo on it. We try to get our team members things that they're proud to wear, nice brands, nice fabrics, and things like that. Which again, I think helps from the employee's experience, and I think it also lends to the, impression we're trying to give to a homeowner.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Does that
think
resonate?
totally. And the reason it resonates is because like the shirts, this product that we sell, painting is it's a want. It is, I would consider it kind of a luxury item.
Yeah,
Like, it's not something everybody can pay for.
sure.
And so we need to match the type of people who are willing to invest in this kind of thing.
Mhm.
And also, I think when you go too far, like you show, like I've had sales situations years ago where I'd show up and I'd be in, a company Ford Escape branded, and the guy who showed up after me was in a Lamborghini. And there's something about that communicates to everybody that they're probably getting overcharged, or there's something else going on here. Like there's and so we want to position, I think, in the customer's mind as like this is reasonable. This is what I expected. Not too far down the
Hmm.
line of unprofessional, and not so far above that it feels like disingenuous to the experience.
I don't have any problem with somebody wanting to drive a Lamborghini, but
No, no.
you don't drive a Lamborghini if you're not trying to tell somebody something about yourself.
Mhm. Or I
And
mean,
it's like you just be okay with that.
yeah, and there might be actually a place where that works. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, I'm sure
maybe
there are.
there's a market out there for home improvements where driving that Lamborghini connects you with the customer in a way that I haven't seen yet in painting.
I
But
doubt it.
yeah, it's but so like just considering that perception of what the other person's seeing on the other side. So what we wear, how we show up matters. Do you guys have business cards, Michael?
We do have business cards still. I don't go on appointments anymore, so I hardly ever have business cards. But yes, we want our team to have something that they're going to be able to leave with the homeowner in the form of a business card with the contact information. We like it that we like having like their picture of them, a little headshot on it.
Mm-hmm.
We find that it's a little more personable, trying to, make that like human connection, not just
Mm-hmm.
like, who was that sales rep from Textbook Painting? It's more of like, oh yeah, I remember her, that's like, that facial like recognition kind of thing.
Right. Do you present it like this or do you present it like this?
For those that are listening, that would be the one hand or the two hand.
Yes, correct.
I guess you could get down on one knee and hand it to them.
Yeah.
No, it's I would say pretty informal. We'll get to it. I think we include that as like it's attached to a leave behind that we provide.
Oh, interesting. That's a good segue.
So,
Let's talk more about the leave behind.
Yeah. So we have a little booklet that we created, super high end, a lot of like design cost or whatever that went into it. And it's like a little, I don't know, call it like an 8-page booklet, roughly the size of a piece of paper or whatever. And it's got just a bunch of really high end like photos of work that we've done, reviews, talks about the different services, talks about, me as the owner of the company, a little bit more about like my background and history since, grew up in this area, local, talking about my family and just why I started the business and things like that. And yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much what it is.
And so when does that get presented to the customer? Walk in the door or is it at the end? How does that work?
It's actually towards the middle. So the way that we think about the quote, just like from a really broad perspective, we can get as detailed as we want. I don't want to go too far down that road since we're trying to focus on like the what to bring part. But
yeah.
But anyway, so we think of it as like essentially like let's just call it like three. That's more detailed than this, but if we wanted to really simplify it, 3 main steps. The first part when you first get there and all the conversations that you have, and then you separate yourself from the homeowner to some extent, and you go and put together your quote, and you get all your measurements, and you get your pictures, and you're typing in numbers into PaintScout and walking around and doing all the measuring and stuff. Oftentimes you're separated from the homeowner or you're less focused on that engagement. And then you've got your quote, you're ready. Now we're going to sit back down with the homeowner. We're going to go over that. We're going to, find the objections, handle the objections, sell the job, or set up a next step. And so it's kind of like those 3 phases: with the customer, not with the customer. With the customer, we coach to give that leave behind when you make that first separation point. Hey, this has been, appreciate this conversation. Thanks for answering all my questions. Blah, 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 whatever. I'm going to go walk around and start getting a bunch of measurements. Before I do that, I did bring this little booklet. Let me show you what that's all about. And you hand that to them. I have my business card attached to it. So this, here's the best way to get a hold of me. Anyways, give me 15 minutes or so. I'll have some numbers for us to look at, whatever.
Awesome.
So that's like a super fast. It's actually not really how we would script that, but just like a super simplified version of how we would hand that out.
I think that's really, really helpful though. I know you said like this episode's about what you bring, but also how you present that information is really important. I think like if you say at the end of the estimate, you just pile on like a whole bunch of papers, like here, this is us, talk to you later. Like I think it loses a little bit of its luster for the experience. And like all of this is communicating something. Like you're in this, like you said before, you're in a bit of a scene, right? Like you're acting this out and there has to be a reason for what you're doing. And at that moment, the customer is still engaged. Like you're still in their home. They're probably still a little uncomfortable you're there. And it gives them something to do. Because I think a lot of people like in that 15 minutes, I always just imagine leaving, like when I'm playing the role of salesperson or project consultant, and I go and meet with the customer, and then I'm like, I'm going to be back in 15 minutes. I just imagine them kind of like the old sim game where the customer goes to the kitchen and kind of like walks back and forth to each wall, and then I come back and I'm like, so they're like just relieved that you're finally back in the room. So I've always thought it's like nice to have something to do or like just helpful prompt of like, here's what you can do while you're waiting for 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's almost like the magazines in the doctor's waiting room before we all had smartphones. Like at least I have something to do.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think though, again, I hope we're providing, like, we want to be like showing our value, right? And providing that value. And even just like, I mentioned it, but it's like, an expensive piece, and it's a differentiator. Like, it doesn't look like everyone else's. And I think that's important.
For sure.
I think
So
most people, we can talk about it, but I think most people's is like a folder with a bunch of papers in it.
yeah, exactly. And I'm curious to talk about that. I mean, the leave behind itself has has progressed, I think.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to talk a little bit about that towards the end of just like what a modern experience looks like, and what a maybe a modern sales leave behind might look like. But before we get there, just for everybody listening, other things we bring. I know the team that I've worked with, and whenever they're coming to the house, they've got typically their iPad. They've got a measuring tool of some type. We use a small laser measurer.
Yep.
I
Same.
know you guys are using
We
what
do the same.
is it? We have meter sticks here in Canada. What's the
We have
equivalent in the US?
yardstick.
Yardstick. Yardstick. How many feet is in a yardstick?
3 feet.
3 feet in a yard.
They put me on the spot here.
Hey,
I'm going back
it's
to like
your
middle school
country.
math.
Yeah, this is your country, man. So you guys are bringing a laser measure as well, like small.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Like, looks like a smaller than a cell phone, but similar. Yep.
yeah. They've gotten so good.
They're like
Like
$30 on Amazon.
yeah, they're pretty cheap. I know we use a Bosch one. It's like tiny. It's like so small. I think it goes to like 100 feet. It's mostly all you'd ever need.
We had this guy. I'll just real quick. We had this guy come out and do a quote. We've just moved into this new commercial space, and so we need some like walls built, and we're getting HVAC and all this stuff done. So this guy comes out to like quote building these walls, and he's got his like handy dandy tape measure, right? Your typical, and it's like whatever 25 feet long, and the wall that we need built is like 50 feet. We're trying to like separate some big warehouse spaces or whatever. And like I'm watching this guy do this, and he's like he pulls it out and he's fumbling with it, and he like kind of like tries to like mark a spot with his foot on the floor, and then like go to the other side with it and try to I'm just after a few minutes I've watching this guy try to like fumble around with this thing, and this is how he does it every day. He's got his spiral notebook.
Mm.
He's just like taking notes on a piece of paper and this thing, and he's fumbling around with it, and it's just like kind of painful to watch. And I just walk in, in our sales office where we keep a couple extra laser measures because like this is a mandatory tool. We've got extras. Like if something breaks, here's another one. And so I just went out there and I like grabbed it and I was like, "Can I help you out? Like, let me just buzz some measurements for you real quick." And he had like seen a laser measure before. I'm not pretending like this is like an epiphany, but he thought he was like, I've never really like thought of that as like a replacement for what I'm doing.
Mm.
It's just like he's a contractor guy and nothing, it's like you got to have your tape measure. And I like if I'm cutting wood or building stuff, like I'm using my tape measure too. But when I'm measuring something like this, especially when it's like a 60-foot wide wall or whatever, it's like 10 seconds, like boop, boop, there you go. It's exactly this measurement. It's like, and he's like, wow, like how much is one of those? I'm like, they're like $30 on Amazon. Like, I wanted to just like, dude, what's your address? I'll just buy this thing and make your day for you. Anyways, but that's like a really good example, right? Like I'm watching this thing happen and I'm like, his like credibility is like coming down a little bit in my mind. It's better than if he just walked in there and was just kind of like, I think this will be about $8,000. Like, I appreciate the fact that he's measuring, which is more than I think.
Measure twice, cut once, Michael.
Measure nonce, paint once. I don't know. So, anyways, but yeah, it was just like I think this is like a really good like of what the messaging we're trying to get across is like he could get the measurement. Like at the end of the day, he probably would have gotten pretty much the exact same measurement.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't matter. Like it's the accuracy of it, or even like the amount of time it takes. That's not the important part here. What's important is like what is the perception that the homeowner has watching that happen. And I can tell you, like me watching it happen, like I felt bad for the guy. Like I wanted to save him from this awful fumbling experience, and it was not like overly confidence inducing.
Did you hire him?
So we did not actually.
So there you go. If you're listening and you were just at Michael's shop with a tape measure, you now know why.
Had you
insights.
invested in the $30 laser measure, you might have sold the whatever $20,000 wall building project.
Yeah, yeah. It's what's interesting is the one I've seen this question asked numerous times, like which laser measure should I buy? And this whole conversation feels funny because it's like just buy one. But I will say the thing that has made a difference to me is
Okay.
buy the smallest one you can with the furthest distance.
Yeah.
It's probably the most professional brand you can find, and one that has like a wrist rope,
Mm,
like a thing you can put around
oh,
your wrist that
lanyard.
dangles
Yeah.
down like a little lanyard, and then you can actually type and
Yeah.
then grab it again. It's so efficient. And
Instead of setting it down on like the customer's dresser and then you leave and you've lost it. And
exactly.
I'm speaking from experience as the one who has to buy these things
Yes,
for
me
the
too.
sales
Me
team.
too. I'm saying I've lost a couple, and that's not helpful when you have a couple estimates in the day and you go to the next one. And then what do? Well, now you just brought your feet with you, so now you're like counting with feet, and you look like an absolute psychopath.
That's how we did it when I was in college, and we were taught how to do estimates using production rates, but in paper, and we would count, and it would be like we'd take like a 3-foot long step.
Yeah.
And we had to know how far, like you just after you did it for a while, you just kind of knew, and you'd count your steps, multiply it by 3.
Yeah.
That is a way, but I can tell you, if I'm a homeowner watching you count your steps, I am not thinking this is a really professional, accurate, modern experience.
No. And those little things have been helpful for me, like in my life. Like you don't have it, you can make it work, but just I always like look behind my back, like I'm like a
oh yeah, is anybody watching?
And I'm like a caveman looking for a predator behind me. I'm like, no one see me. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
And so it's
there's
yeah.
And there are ways, and I've tried to do this, and it just feels clunky and takes longer than the laser measure. But you can use your like iPhone, and like it has like the measuring tools in there.
Yeah.
Even maybe I've seen that like Company Cam even offers something where you can do that now, or I don't know. But it's just like the laser measure thing works so simply, and it's just like so fast, and it's like once you use it and you do it, it's like how was I doing quotes without this before?
Totally. The interesting thing is there's been so many apps that have come out where they're like, just take your phone and go around the room and it'll add it up. And it's like that actually is way harder at the end of the day than just a measure when you stand in the corner of a room and you just literally have to turn, zap,
Boop, boop.
enter. Right. And so like we've had all these discussions over the years with people about this kind of like, would it be awesome if you could just like walk around the house and it measures for you? It's like, yeah. And did you realize that'll take you like two or three more steps in the process to literally walk around or do that to every wall? So I think it's the most simple way. And until I get introduced to a new way, I'm prove me wrong. Like in the comments, prove me wrong that that's not the most simple way is a laser measure.
So laser measure works great on the inside. It does not work on the outside. And so when we're doing an exterior quote, we bring a measuring wheel.
Yes. Yeah.
And again, I don't know, $75 or something on Amazon, and it works great. All of our reps keep them in their cars, and it's super accurate, and it is super like professional looking. I don't know how else to put it. It looks like, wow, these guys have done this before.
Totally. One of the little hacks that I think we've talked about before is that our team would actually go and use Google Maps to get the exterior measurements or the measurements of the thing using Google Earth. Use the measure feature, and then it kind of gets them ahead of the project. They know what they're looking at, and then when they get to the house, they talk to the customer and they're like, "So the front of your house is 55 feet," and the person's like, "How do you know that?" It's like, well, I was here last night watching you and your family, and
so, I came over around 2 a.m. and measured it.
As one does. I wanted to get ahead of things,
That's how good we are.
That's how good we are to you. So I mean, there's
and the customer said, "Okay, I'll give you a call." Yeah, we'll give you a call.
We'll call you.
Don't call me.
Yeah, do not call me ever. So no, that's really funny how long like these little nuances of these tools are funny because we've gone through this enough to realize what works. And I always feel like a crazy person when I'm like sitting around, especially with my like just with friends, and they realize how deep my knowledge is about things like laser measures. And I can see in their eyes like how fast they lose respect for me. Like, why
This
do
is
you
what you
know
spend
this?
all of your time on?
Yeah, I always wondered what you did for a job, and now I'm starting to get a better picture of it.
But notice like the 10,000 hours rule. There's like, I put 10,000 hours into a lot of really stupid stuff.
Really, really silly things.
Uh,
Okay, so let's go back to the leave
What
behind
else?
thing. We got, you said you have a leave behind, which is like a nice glossy kind of company.
Booklet. I would describe it as like almost like a, I don't know, more than a pamphlet, less than a book. What a
Yeah.
booklet. I don't know.
Okay. It'd be so nice if you had an example within arm's reach of your booklet.
I don't think I do. We're not
Well,
that organized. We don't
geez,
actually
come on,
prepare
man.
this stuff.
This
I don't
is
think
this
anybody
was
listening expects a whole lot of preparation from the two knuckleheads
I
on
think they
myself.
expect a follow-up episode though to see your shiny pamphlet.
I think so. I think the point here's actually like here's the thing. I'm happy to share it, but it's the problem isn't somebody doesn't need to see mine and then copy off it.
Yeah.
This is something that actually it's like we see this all the time with websites, and I know I'm getting off on a tangent a little bit, but it's like I think we all care way too much what our local competitors are doing, or even just like maybe they're not even local, but they're just other painting companies. And it's like my argument is stop looking to like what are the best painting companies doing, or what are the mediocre painting, or whatever it is. It's like no, don't even worry about that. What are like the Fortune 100 companies doing? What are like the where do you go shop? Where do your customers go shop? Where they're spending money at Starbucks or I don't know, whatever, like Target or whatever, Costco, like whatever those experiences are. Which is like, what are their pieces look like? What does their branding look like? What does their marketing look like? Is it high gloss, or is it on like a Word document looking thing that they printed off on a the printer in the office? It's anyways, we know the answer to that question. It's like start to model off of those companies and the things that like resonate with you. I have a whole file drawer in my office that I just call marketing inspiration. And there's some painting company stuff in there because there's painting companies out there doing some cool stuff locally and nationally. But I've got HVAC companies, I've got electric, I've got nothing to do with home improvement stuff in there, banks, so many different things that like I've picked up over the years. Like I go into the bank and I see this booklet and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And I'll take it as like an inspiration piece for the next time we need to create like a booklet like this. So and anyways, I don't know. Kind of went off on a tangent. Something I'm like kind of passionate about, I guess. But it's like there's so many cool examples out there, and just find the one that like really resonates with you and your brand and the experience that you're trying to show your customers that you provide.
So I'll go one level beyond that, which is go find a good designer.
There's that.
Like there's that where it's just like I think
Yeah.
I think a lot of us a lot of us I am very passionate about design, so I'm not quite I'm abnormal in that way. But the thing I learned early on is that like finding a good designer is going to make a big amount. It's going to make a huge difference to your materials and how your customers feel because they can build the right feeling for your customers. I think where I've seen people go wrong is you go to Fiverr.com or you go to Upwork, you go to something like that, and you get somebody who is just spitting out some random stuff and you just take it and consider that to be good. And I think there's real value in finding somebody who can replicate the experience you're looking to
Mhm.
give customers. You don't need to be the designer. I think a lot of us get that
Yeah.
wrong. Just find someone you respect and you think it's good, and that's a good start. So that
And well,
tangent for sure,
I,
but yeah,
I'll take what you said and just elaborate one more little point. But it's just like you need to spend money on this.
yeah.
Like this is an investment, and it's a significant one. And so like how much money you should spend, I'm not going to answer that question because it depends on what are we trying to do, what kind of business you're trying to build, what kind of business are you. But the answer is probably more. Like it's more on this type of stuff. This matters. And if we said that spending, like having a piece that is exceptional would increase your win rate by 5 percentage points, how much revenue would that drive? Hundreds of thousands, millions? I mean, for some companies listening, it's millions of dollars in sales. And it's just like, so what are you willing to spend to, have that piece designed? If it's $500, you're probably not going to you might change your win rate by 5%. It just might not go in the right direction.
Right. Yeah, you can do some damage here. Let's talk about the leave behinds, because you mentioned it early on that you thought it could be done wrong. There was a way to do too much. There's a way to do it that replicates a bad, like a similar experience to the suit, so to speak. Maybe. Am I getting that right?
I mean, I don't know. I think I feel like a lot of what I think most of the industry, most of home improvement, not just painting, is like a folder with a logo on it and a bunch of papers in it.
Mm-hmm.
That is good. That is better than nothing. It is better than just handing somebody your business card. Again, I don't want to completely knock it, but I'm about to. It is not great. It's time. Again, it is played out. You are not special as a painting contractor when you leave your customer with your folder with 4 or 5 pieces of paper in it that tell them how awesome you are, and here's our insurance, and whatever. That's what we did 25 years ago when I was a college student. That's so that's when you hand that to your customer. It is little tiny college kid Michael Murray in 2003. Like that's what you're saying. That's what you're that's where your level is. And I think there's something above that.
So I want to talk about your new and revised sales experience, but let's go back to 2003 when you were handing that out. You were also probably handing out a paper estimate too, right?
Correct.
So everything was just that was the best medium we had available to us. It was the only one.
As opposed to what, on a smartphone?
Yeah, right,
John, we barely had the internet. I mean, there's like the Stone Ages, and then the internet came, and then like a day later was what we're talking about.
ChatGPT, yeah.
So no, I didn't. I had like a flip phone, and
your T90, everybody.
Like, what are we talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, we had our carbonless form. Our 3-part contract with, we were really fancy. It was white and yellow and pink, like everybody else's. And, we'd fill out the little thing and rip it off and put it in the folder. And that's how we did it.
It was, for a long time. Call me. Please call me. Fax me. Fax me back.
And again, it was, I mean, it's better than that is an upgrade over some of what our competitors are still doing today.
For sure. Yeah. So it's like a baseline, like some leave behind, like you're talking about with the, something well designed that reflects well on your company. The folder is good, but I think we've talked about a little bit of this elevated experience, and so it's something that I was acutely aware of when we launched PaintScout, and that was that the only thing, so you can build this estimate, you can get it accurate, you can have great bond rapport with the customer, but one of the only things they're left with at the point of decision of whether they want to work with you is a piece of paper or a PDF. And so that's what you're sending as your emailed item, right? And you might have to leave behind, this is now like supposed to be printed off and put in that folder. And it was kind of like a truncated experience. So here's some stuff and here's another thing. This thing that I just sent you doesn't reflect as well as that other stuff I gave you. Mm-hmm. And so it was really about thinking through the customer experience of what it's like to get an estimate that led us to this presentation feature. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, we talked about before this podcast is what does a modern experience look like? Mm-hmm. And I have my theories on how this is supposed to be used. I know you've been using it for a while and are just changing up how you're using it. So maybe you want to walk through that a little bit.
Sure. So we're talking, this is obviously a PaintScout feature, but somebody doesn't use PaintScout. I don't know why they wouldn't. They could, I guess, try to recreate this by putting in a lot of extra effort, but it's essentially almost like a slideshow. Like if you've never seen the presentation feature and you're not sure what we're talking about, it's almost like a slideshow, interactive, like mini website is probably like the right word for it, that is like sent as part of the link that includes the quote. So it's like, however you want to organize it, but it's like one of the pages is the quote, or the estimate with the actual pricing and the details and the included and not included and terms and conditions and all those things. But then there's all these other pages. And again, I think the best, if you've never seen it, the best way to think about it, would I probably say like a mini website. And you can have, I'm sure there's a limit. I don't, you can speak to maybe what the limitations are, but it's like you can have a handful of pages or whatever that is, and you can customize them just like you would a website with pictures and videos and text and colors and all those types of things. And so yeah, anyway, so what we've always historically seen that as just like the attachment to the email or to the quote that is sent to the customer, hoping that when they are ready, like let's imagine they didn't book on the spot and hey, give us a week, we're trying to evaluate the different quotes that we've gotten, give us a couple days or whatever. When they get that email from us, nice to meet you, here's your quote, click on this link, they open that link, and yet again they're presented with something that doesn't look like the paper contract that they have from the other company that they're looking at, but it is our nice quote, but also a page that includes some information about us and some before and after photos and some of the customer reviews and awards that we've won and how long we've been in business and just the things that you'd probably put them on your website as like, this is what makes us different, this is what makes us stand out, these are the value, added value prop that we are going to provide. That's what that tool is. And so we've always, we created it, don't really update it all that much. It's probably been a couple of years since we really updated it, but it was really just kind of like hopefully somebody will look at it after we send the email, and that was that.
Now, what's changed? You guys have looked at this whole process, and I'm hoping I know what you're going to say because I think it's so powerful. But
so what we're going to do, so what we're going to do is actually just like present this to the homeowner, just like if we went and said, hey, I want to show you a PowerPoint presentation, if we want to just to kind of get like a visual, and sitting with the homeowner like at their kitchen table and basically like walking them through, let me just explain a little bit more about the company, how long we've been around, where we're located, here's some of the things that people say about us, here's some of the awards that we've won, here's our Better Business Bureau rating, all the things that we at least believe, and I think pretty rightfully so, customers care about, so that we're trying to give them that, positive sentiments and things like that, as well as like some maybe pictures of like, this is what it's like when we're at your house and kind of how we're going to do the work. But instead of just like assuming that the customer's going to look at it after we leave, we want the sales rep to actually like sit down, maybe it's like 10 minutes or however long, and just like walk the homeowner through, again, through these pages on the presentation feature of PaintScout, to make sure that they're explaining it, answering any questions that they might have about it, as well as obviously including it afterwards if we don't book it on the spot.
Yeah, I think it's a massive deal. That it's a massive deal for a couple of reasons. One is that it lets sales reps hit all the important parts of the conversation in a structured way, right? Like a lot of times, if it doesn't come up what the company history is, when do you bring it up? If it doesn't, like, if no one is asking about your Better Business Bureau rating, when do you bring it up? Like, do you randomly just blurt it out? Like, how's your day? We have an A+ Better Business rating. Yeah, we're good. So like it gives you that structure of knowing that you've hit the targets, like things you want to hit that you think are important. But two, it walks them through what the experience is like when they're going to get the estimate. And I think that's really critical because when a lot of people get these documents, they're not 100% sure what they are because they've never interacted with something like this before. And so they're getting new information and they're like trying to sift through it. I think it's great because it is a reiteration. It's a reminder of these important details now at the point of decision. So you're getting ahead of it and you're like, look, here's some important things. And what's really helpful is when you get this, you're also going to get this package of stuff with your estimate. And maybe just like, some of those things we talked about that were important. This is a good reminder to just check those out with those other companies because we want to make sure you're getting what you want. And then, you're just getting a double hit of this type of really quality information, building that trust, that bond rapport, and all the stuff we talk about, and ultimately building confidence you're a good fit. And I think, my brother, when I talked to him about this feature, he does exactly what you're talking about. He walks them through it. shows them all the critical points. And then he even goes as far as actually like showing them how to accept it. And it's kind of an interesting piece because I think it's one that we forget. It's that like make it easy for the customer to accept it. And like, here's the button you're going to push, and here's where you're going to sign when you're ready to work with us. And it's like a really nice segue actually to asking for the sale.
Yeah.
It's like, is that something you're comfortable with today, or do you want to wait? And he's been so successful with that, with having customers go on at all hours of the night and accept it
Sure.
because they now understand the process. And I think even when someone has to sign an estimate and get it back to you, or e-sign or whatever they're doing, a lot of us don't know exactly how to accept an estimate. We're like, what is this going to do? How do I accept it? And it's like another point of communication, another question. So that's where I've seen huge value for him, and that's ultimately just like, I think it'd be so powerful for you guys.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Yeah, I appreciate you, never telling me that we were supposed to do that from the beginning, but here we are. So thanks, John, for holding out.
You can lead a horse to water, Michael. But you can't make him use the presentation feature correctly.
That's right. I am curious to hear your thoughts on this. So, one of the things last year, I was getting some quotes to have some work done on windows in my house. And, it's actually really, we talked about like looking to other industries. It's something I would recommend. Like, go get some quotes from other like large home improvement companies. There's probably a $50 million, $100 million home improvement, home service company in your local market, whoever's listening, and like get a quote from them, whether even if you're not in the market, and just like see what it's like. And, what parts do you like? What parts don't you like? I've gotten a lot of quotes from large companies that I was like, that was awful. But I've gotten some where I was like, oh, wow, I can really see what they're doing there. But the thing that's interesting is, especially if you go do this window quote, it became like a running joke for us, is the heat lamp demonstration. And if you've ever gotten a window quote, I don't know if this is just Cleveland thing. It's probably everywhere, but it's like, you know what I'm talking about. And they come in and they often will have like a sample like window. And it's not like, but it's like it's a full size window. It's like I don't know, 2 foot by 3 foot or something, like small window. And they'll show you like maybe a cheap window, kind of like, here's like kind of what our competitor might offer you, just like a cheap vinyl window or whatever. And then here's like our window. And then they have like another window thing. And it's got these like big bags. And it's like, I got like 4 quotes, and they all shop at the same sales supply shop or whatever. Yeah. And so I was like, this is obviously a thing. And so this got me thinking, right? I'm like, all right, well, these are all like bigger companies than us in terms of revenue and otherwise, it's like, maybe there's something here. I don't know. And so they get out now their second window, and then they get out the heat lamp. And the heat lamp's very important part of this whole presentation, apparently. And then they put the heat lamp behind like the generic cheap window, and you put your hand and can you feel the heat? And you're like, oh yeah, definitely feel the heat. And then they do it with the nice fancy window that they're trying to sell you. And you can't really feel the heat coming through the window. And that's their way of showing like the energy efficiency and how much you're spending money, but you're actually going to save money. And by like the time, as you go through a couple of these, you're just like, oh, it's time for our heat lamp demonstration. But what's interesting is that they're bringing the product. Like I can see the difference. And they're basically saying like, so you're going to get other quotes, maybe whatever. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Like, if I could sell you this cheap window, or this not so good window, I could sell that for some amount of money, or you could go with this really nicer window. Like, do you think you would ever accept this cheap window in your house? Like, would that be okay to you? And
the answer
after you look at it, and you're just, well, I think for what they're hoping, if you say yes, I think they realize that this isn't our customer, and that's probably okay, hopefully. But if you say no, then when you get later in the appointment and they're like, yeah, it's like, $1 bajillion to get your windows replaced. And they can say, okay, well, where do we go from here? Because you told me you don't want that like super cheap window, which I could use to save you money, but you already said you don't want that, right? And I find that interesting because it's like, there's something about that like hands-on tactile feel that I can like, experience like the end result during the sales presentation, that, to be honest with you, we have a hard time replicating. We do that with our cabinet painting. We bring a sample of one of our painted cabinet doors so people can see it and feel it and understand like this is the quality that you can expect. But like, we're going on an exterior painting quote. Like, we have a hard time like bringing a piece of wood and saying like, this is what a painted piece of wood looks like. It's like most people. Anyway, so I think there's something to be said for this. We've had a hard time figuring it out, but trying to like demonstrate the quality that we're providing. Love to hear your thoughts on this. If you feel like there's any value to trying to do something like that.
I mean, the cabinet thing makes a ton of sense. Like that one, the before and after cabinets, be able to actually feel it, scratch it, see the difference. That one is what we do for cabinets as well, and it's been great. Like there is something to it for sure. I mean, can you smell the quality difference in paint? That'll be a weird one. That doesn't work. I'm just spitballing here, but
I mean, though, to be fair, like I think most people listening, right, know that there is.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make it like, well, we love Sherwin-Williams, we love Benjamin Moore, we love them all. So, but it's just like if I'm, let's just say like if I'm quoting somebody with Sherwin-Williams Emerald, and my competitors giving them, I'm trying to think of the equivalent, like Sherwin-Williams Promar 200. Right, there is a quality difference that anybody in the painting industry can understand. There is a price difference. There is a time and a place for both of those. But if I'm in if I'm providing somebody a quote and my price is higher than my competitors, I'm using Emerald, they're using Promar 200. We're not comparing apples to apples here. And I know that. Everybody listening to this podcast generally knows that. My homeowner has no idea. They know that Sherwin-Williams paint, that's really good paint. Benjamin Moore paint, that's really good paint. What's the difference between, Benjamin Moore Aura and Benjamin Moore, whatever? I can't even, just put me on the spot. But you get my point, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, how do we demonstrate that? How do we explain that to a customer, right? Or is it just like, well, because I said so? Like, this paint's really good. And then my competitor comes in with the Promar 200 and they're like, yeah, we use really good paint. It's from Sherwin-Williams. And the customer's like, okay, well, that's what they said too. So I guess they're the same. Sounds the same to me. This one's less money. We might as well go with this one.
Yeah. The classic example is like you're using Emerald, and then someone's using the lowest contractor grade from Benjamin Moore, and the person says, "Well, they're using Benjamin Moore." You're like, "Yeah, but like customers have no quality understanding, nor should they. Like that's why they're hiring you." So I'm going to put more thought towards this. Maybe we can do a future episode of how to show the quality differences in your company or what you're using. Because you're right, it's really helpful to see that visual, and I don't think we figured it out. So
sure, but I think that's a challenge. Yeah. I'll be on again. We haven't either, so I'm not sitting here saying this is exactly everybody should do it. But I think it's something everybody should be thinking about. I think another, like you mentioned the word visual, like something that has come up over the years we've done and not done is like bringing a color deck with you to look at paint colors at the estimate appointment. Do you feel like that's something that should be in the arsenal, or is that a yes or no? Where do you come out?
I feel like it's distracting sometimes.
Yeah,
like too much discussion of color up front. I think we want to figure out if we can work together and let them know we have the ability to help them with color, because ultimately, like, is the color fan selling the job? Is the sales rep expected to be the color expert? There's a bunch of questions there for me. What's been your take?
Yeah, so the way that we coach it now, I've been in our company, we've had it where like you walk up to the door with a color deck. We don't currently do that, and I would say we won't. And the reason for it is, one, it's clunky. It's one more thing that's going to be in your hand, and you might not even use it most of the time. And so what we teach is like have it in your car, because probably less than 10% of the appointments, it can be a great sales tool. Because once you get somebody excited and committed to the color, that is a big hurdle to just like moving forward with the painting contractor. But to your point, it can like really get in the way of the appointment, and we can get way down the weeds of trying to pick out colors. It can, for a lot of homeowners, it can be like stress inducing. Like, oh my gosh, I got to pick out the color right now. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't have, like, I need more time. I need to marinate on this for days. Like, I'm going to be put on the spot to have to pick a color, which will induce like a sense of stress, which is not the place we want customers to be when they're trying to, sell them a painting job.
Totally. There's like only 3 options I feel like in my mind for the right customer, which is either they choose you, they choose a competitor, or they do nothing. And I'm trying to avoid that do nothing part by introducing as little complexity into the decision as possible. It's like, you can choose me or the competitor, that's fine, but if 30% of the time you're actually doing nothing, that might be actually my biggest competitor.
I think it is. I've long made that argument that I think many, like a bigger chunk, more customers I think do nothing than go with our competitor. And I think the reason they do nothing is because it's scary. Picking the wrong color is scarier than keeping the current color.
Absolutely.
That's
Change
part of
is
the reason
hard.
that
Yeah.
we pay an interior designer. I mean, the worst outcome for a homeowner is they pay us a lot of money and they end up with a color they like worse than the current color. Like
Absolutely.
that stinks.
Yeah. Totally.
And we've talked about, you interviewed Sue Wadden on the podcast. We've talked about like how important it is to make color selection a important part of the sales, approach. But I think that's like a multi-step. I think if we try to accomplish all of that in the first appointment, I think we're overreaching.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Michael, maybe that's a good spot to end it today.
I like it.
Educational as always. I learned some things about your life, mostly about sauna usage, but a few things
Very
about paint
important.
too. So that's always helpful. And for those of you
That's why
listening
people
along,
tune in.
that's why they tune in. Yeah, they want to know. They want to know those hard, the intricacies of your life. But yeah, if you enjoyed the podcast, feel free to like and subscribe. Michael really enjoys personal LinkedIn messages, so feel free to shoot him one.
I will find my username and password and log in one day.
Perfect.
Say hi. Don't get
And,
offended
yeah,
if you send me a message and I don't respond right away.
we appreciate everybody listening. We thank you, and thanks for all your questions and support. And we will see you again soon on another episode of Price Sell Paint. Thanks, Michael.
Looking forward to it. See ya.
Take it easy.
This podcast is proudly powered by PaintScout, your partner in painting success.